You're listening to the REI Marketing Nerds Podcast, the leading resource for real estate investors who want to dominate their market online. Dan Barrett is the founder of AdWords Nerds, a high-tech digital agency focusing exclusively on helping real estate investors like you get more leads and deals online, outsmart your competition, and live a freer, more awesome life. And now, your host, Dan Barrett.
Hey guys, welcome back. You're listening to the second part of last week's episode. Let's jump back in.
But I want to ask you about how you learn, because one of the things that I've really noticed about you is that at every point in your sort of storyline, right, you have these periods where you learn a lot from the environment that you're in, right? You started the wholesaling business, you got this partner, and you guys were like, hey, we need structure. And you didn't just put structure into the business, which a lot of people did. You learned it enough that you then turned around and taught it, right? So you learned it to a level of mastery that I think a lot of people never get to. When you were coaching and consulting for the first time, you were learning like, hey, this really aligns with my passion. You really sort of drove yourself to change sort of the whole way that you thought about business, right? Then you went through this sort of health scare, these health issues, and you're really using it as an opportunity to dive really deep into yourself and learn a whole new set of skills where I think a lot of people would have just sat around and been bummed out by it, right? So I'm curious, like, one, how do you think about learning in your life? And two, how do you decide what's important enough to spend your time on? Like, how do you decide what the thing is in your life that you're going to spend the time and effort to learn at a deep level? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're asking like how do I know where to spend my time?
Sort of. Or how do you decide what's important enough that you're going to internalize it? Does that make sense? Right? Like, not just like, hey, this is a cool thing, I'm going to apply this to my business and then I'm on to the next thing. You seem to really take the time to master a lot of different skill sets. So it could be like literally just think like, how do you go about doing that? Or is it like, do you just get a sense of like, this is the next thing? Like, how do you think about that?
Man, I think at the beginning I was lucky that, honestly, bro, I think the law of attraction had to do so much with it, right? Because I kept putting it in my mind, like, hey, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I want to own my own business and I want to be successful. And I just attracted these people into my life. From there, I really learned just how to follow. Like I said, like sometimes it takes a while and sometimes you might be stubborn, but like, again, following that fulfillment is kind of what gave me the drive and the energy to go spend time on doing certain things. And so initially I wasn't passionate about real estate per se, but I was passionate about growing a business. And it was all new to me. Like the way that we were doing it was totally new. Plus, when we really started to learn how to run a business, not just like close deals, but actually how to create a business with SOPs and processes and, you know, accountabilities, roles and responsibilities, an organizational chart, right? Data, KPIs, reporting, how to really run a real business. That shit was fun to me. It was, it was so fun. This like new concept to me at the time of building and scaling a business. So even though I tell people this all the time, even though you might not be passionate about the thing, you can be passionate about the process, or you can be passionate about what you're doing, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to necessarily be passionate about real estate, but you can be passionate about growing a business, and that can drive you. So that drove me. I was like, okay, well, look, this is going to be, I realized this is going to be so valuable. These skills are going to be so valuable in whatever business I have in the future. And so, yeah, I took the time to study the books, and we really just, you know, we were running a pretty tight ship, like discipline wise, on our life and our time. Like we would hit the office at like 8. We do a small morning routine, hit the office at 8, you know, hit the gym after work, and then we would read. Right. And so it was just like, I feel like I learned 20 years worth of business knowledge in like 5 years. And especially as we started to grow the business and we started to hire people and we started to have departments and teams. So it was amazing. And to answer your question, I think there's something energetic about this, but once you start like the universe will give you confirmation. So once you start heading a certain direction, if you start seeing success, right? Eventually, like if you start seeing success, that's confirmation like, hey, yeah, you spend more time here. And so, I learned the structure in the real estate business. Then in the coaching business, I just spent a ton of time beforehand, like learning how to coach, learning these different avenues and ways of structuring the coaching business. And yeah, man, it's just, I think now, like I'm really learning how to tap into me, how to tune into me and let my inner guide me, right? Because like I really believe that we have the answers to where we need to go if we're attentive enough.
Yeah.
And your body can help you out a lot with that. Your body kind of sends you signals. Your body can even say, oh, if someone steps in the room, like your body can tell you if your energy's meshed or not, right? If you're attentive enough. It's really cool.
Well, let's dig into that a little bit. I mean, it strikes me that one of the things about your illness, right, was it's not like you broke your leg. So everything's the same. It's just harder to get around. But it really attacked in a lot of ways your ability to focus. It sounds like brain fog, like energy issues, and so that strikes me as like that would be really easy to get totally driven off course. Like, what were the practices or maybe the beliefs that kind of helped you get through that in a positive way?
I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. It was hard. Like some days, like I would just be feeling shitty, like 24/7. And shit, man, like when this first started, I was just so shocked and like it just threw me, bro. It threw me for a crazy loop. And because of that, I did go to like some dark places. Like I was like, what's the point of this? Like if I'm going to feel shitty all the time, like what's the point of even living? It got dark, man. And it got like pretty serious. And I had a girlfriend at the time. And she helped me out so much, right? She was like my light at the time, and she helped me through it. Honestly, I probably wouldn't have gotten through it without her. But I did hire, I spent tons of money. Thank God I had resources. I spent tons of money on coaches, anti-anxiety coaches, right? And so back when I thought it was that. So I learned many practices that really helped me. And it's amazing how much you can be the source of your own strength and you can be the source of your own calm. So that helped a lot. And, obviously it got pretty challenging at times, right? Because sometimes I just wouldn't feel like myself. It was a lot of neurological stuff, which is probably one of the worst things that you can experience. I don't wish it on anybody. But I did have brief moments of health and energy. And during those times, I was so grateful to just feel good and feel normal. Like normal for me felt so goddamn good because I was so uncomfortable for so long. And those little bits of joy and happiness kind of pulled me along with the people around me. Plus, I knew that life was teaching me something, right? And that I was going to get stronger from this experience. And man, God, did I get stronger from this experience? Now discomfort for me, it's like what the hell else, can I not handle if I can handle this?
Yeah.
I was literally uncomfortable in my own body, 24/7 for a long time. And it sucked, bro. But, what pushed me and pulled me forward was knowing that, hey, I have a freaking mission to accomplish here. And I know that I'm going to get better. That's number one. It's I knew this isn't forever. I'm on a detox protocol. This is not going to last. Okay. I'm going to get better. And your body starts responding to that. Okay. Another thing that I did is I started loving on my body. I started loving on myself. And that shit is real. Your body actually responds to these things, right? The placebo effect is real. The mind-body connection is not even anything to question anymore. It's fact. It's literally facts, the mind-body connection. So you telling your body good things is going to impact it in a good way. And I learned that over time. And so, yeah, tons of lessons, man. But basically, I knew that, like, hey, I'm not done here. Like, this is just a blip. This is just a little bump in the road. And in fact, it's probably going to be the best thing that ever happened to me once I'm through it, because it's taught me so much about myself and connecting to myself. And so, yeah, man.
Yeah, it ended up being the foundation of everything you're working on now, right? Which is wild.
Want to find motivated seller leads online, but don't know where to start? Download our free Motivated Seller Keyword Report today. AdWords nerds have spent over $5 million this year researching the most profitable keywords for finding motivated seller leads. And you can grab these exact keywords when you download our report at www.adwordsnerds.com/keywords.
I want to talk about that because we're coming up on time. I don't want to keep you super late. I know you.
Yeah, no worries. I'm chilling.
But I got to ask this. So like, there's so many points in this story, particularly at this most recent thing that you went through, right? So this most recent chapter, right? You have talked multiple times about the importance of the vision, right? You have the compelling vision of the thing you want to do. You have a mission, you have a purpose, even all the way back to jumping into doing wholesaling, right? It was like, I had a sense that I was going to do something big, right? So that's all the way back to that original point, all the way through all this health stuff, right? You've got this really compelling vision. So I want to ask, like, how do you go about setting a compelling vision for yourself? Is it a thing where like you sit down at the computer, you type it out? Is it something that you know it, you don't have to think about it, or did you have to work on it over time? Like, what is that process like of crafting a compelling vision for yourself?
Man, I'm so glad. This is such a good question. And, whoever's listening to this, this is probably one of the most important things that you can do for your life. I'm not even talking about for your business, for your life. Okay. And I actually have a 6-step process that we do in the program to help you connect to your mission and create a vision that is compelling to you. And so one of the things for sure is the more that you know about yourself, what kind of things you like, what kind of things you don't like, what your natural inclinations are, that combined with like the impact that you've had on people in your life, you can start to kind of look at some themes. You can start to kind of see some themes and see how you're showing up in your best light, right? However you're showing up in your best light, there's your first clue, right? And so, for example, like I'll talk a little bit about my vision before we get there. I think a big component of this is understanding your story, right? Knowing what your natural inclinations and your natural gifts are, and connecting to yourself on like a deep level to something that like really draws you. Okay. So most people will just like draw out a vision and they might even forget about it. Like they might, oh yeah, what's my vision again? So it has to be, one, you got to spend time on it. And two, you have to make sure that it really, really hits, like it resonates. So I do this exercise where I bring clients in. I'm not doing it currently, but I do this exercise where people flew in and I helped them extract a really strong, compelling vision from them. And we did all these steps, right? We talked about their story and we came up with themes for their life. And things that actually all you have to do is follow your feelings and follow your emotions, right? When do they feel most alive? And so, for example, like, and what's important to them, their values. So, for example, I always have them do this exercise where they fill in this blank. Okay. We do all this prep work and then they fill in this blank, which is, I believe in a world where, fill in the blank. The thing about a vision is it has to be bigger than you, okay? It has to be bigger than you for it to be very compelling. And it should be big enough that you might not even complete it in your lifetime, right? And so, for example, one of my visions that I'm creating into this world, but like my vision is for people to not only experience financial abundance, but for them to experience deep levels of meaning, purpose, and joy. And I feel like so many either have one or the other. But I want people essentially to just fall in love with life. And so that's like my vision, right? And so my purpose is to create an environment where people see that, right? Where people can see how they can have financial abundance, they can have richness of depth and meaning and joy while still loving the entire process. And so that's kind of why I developed my program, which is Meaningful Millions. And so often I see people that make more money. Yes, their lives are better in certain ways, but in other ways, their lives are actually worse. They're less present. They're more overwhelmed. They're more stressed, right? They might have bought themselves a little bit of freedom and some options, but in some cases, their quality of life actually decreases. In their internal world actually goes down. And so I want people to be very conscious of the life that they're creating. And so, for me, like I take my natural gifts. I talked about natural gifts and natural inclinations. And so I took my natural gifts, and I have a gift of, I think speaking and influencing is a big gift of mine. And, in general as well, like being able to be a good teacher, like breaking down concepts and being able to communicate them. And so that's why I'm a coach, right? It works perfectly for me. It's not for everybody. But if you can understand your characteristics, understand your values and your natural inclinations and gifts, and you can connect that to a larger vision, you can pretty much paint the picture for what you want to do and how you want your life to be. And so, yeah.
I mean, I love that so much. I mean, I'm a huge believer in the importance of knowing where you want to go, knowing the correct kind of world you're trying to create, right? If you don't care where you're going, it doesn't matter how you get there. So who cares, right? But if you've got a compelling vision for yourself, I think it is such an important tool. And the thing I love about your story, man, is you are the perfect example of how having a clear vision for yourself really can pull you through some dark times, right? Because you were going through this thing that really was eating away at the core of who you were, and you turned it into an opportunity, right? And you ended up becoming a much stronger person because of that. I think that is such an important message, particularly now. Look, like it's a tough market for investors right now. It's been a tough year. It's been a tough decade. It's been a tough, everything's tough, right? It's probably only going to get tougher. I think having this clear sense of what you're doing in the world and why you get out of bed in the morning is the thing that makes all the difference. So I want to say this. I so appreciate your vulnerability, your willingness to tell your story. I really appreciate you spending your time with us, man. This has been such an awesome blast. So I know for people out there that want to follow you, I know you do social media. Where's the best places for them to look you up?
Yeah. So Instagram, Joe Dillon Official, JoeDillon Official. And if you just type in the search bar, Joe Dillon, most likely if you're in real estate, we probably have some mutual friends. Then I'll probably pop up there.
Yeah.
So, Facebook and Instagram is probably the best way to get a hold of me. So yeah, reach out.
All other Joe please. Dillons are scrubs. This is the official Joe Dillon. Right? Legit one.
Yeah, buddy.
Awesome. So Instagram.com, Joe Dillon Official. You could search for Joe Dillon. Again, like you said, Dillon on Facebook as well. Just search the internet. You will find him. Joe Dillon from Seven Figure Wholesaling and soon to be Meaningful Millions. Thank you so much, man. This was an absolute blast. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you sharing your time with us.
Absolutely, man. This was a blast. Thanks so much for having me.
That is it. That's it for our interview this week. As Joe mentioned, you can follow him on Instagram, and his Instagram account, just so you can find it, is, I just had it in front of me. It's Joe Dillon Official. Joe Dillon Official at Instagram. Dillon is spelled Dillon. Go check him out. Really, really incredible guy. incredible content and a lot to learn. As always, if you want to learn a little bit more about me and what I do, you can head over to AdWordsNerds.com. We've got a ton of free material and content for you to check out. I always say our free material is better than pretty much everybody else's paid material on this subject, so go see if I am full of it or not. As always, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you listening to this podcast. Thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you very soon. Cheers.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.